Oh, howdy all. Grab yourselves a beer. It is time for some Path of Exile discussion. We got some information on the 3.12.3 patch notes today. This is a bit of a preview for a patch that will be coming out next week, likely on Tuesday if you're a PC player like myself, and for those of you that are playing the game on console, maybe expect it towards the very end of next week. Anyways, these are subject to change, but it's interesting to have a look through and see what changes are coming. Firstly, I think it's important to say that the Heist League preparation at Grinding Your Games' end appears to have been disrupted significantly by a coronavirus scare in Auckland. People that don't really follow, Auckland had been, well, New Zealand in general had been following an elimination strategy, and then they had a mystery case appear. At the time, it was speculated that it may have come in with food transport ships or something like that, but this resulted in a second wave of lockdown in the city of Auckland itself, which is where GGG are headquartered. And as a result, they had to shift to working from home, and probably lost maybe 3 or 4 days of productive work as a result of that. Now, that would all be fine, except GGG run on razor-tight deadlines all the time. As one of the things that I think they honestly should try to get a little bit ahead of their schedules in the future, so that they don't have this problem in future leagues. But this meant that some of the boss encounters were delayed, and those boss encounters are coming. So enabled quest lines that lead towards the Twins and the Nashta the Usurper boss encounters. So as I said in a previous video, I really hope that these cater to quite different tiers of endgame players. So I would like it if one of these two encounters is the difficulty is set somewhere between the Eternal Labyrinth and the Shaper. So that's the sort of range where the Shaper can seem overwhelming to a lot of people, but he's very beatable if you're someone that's that gets to endgame and that can beat the Eternal Labyrinth. You don't need to improve that much to beat the Shaper. But there's a lot of players in that range, and it would be good for them to have a taste of some of the endgame content that's league specific, but then maybe make the other one brutally hard. Go for Cortex difficulty, maybe even go higher than Cortex difficulty, so that there's something to wherever you are in the game's endgame progression. There's something to aspire to get better to. There's something to work towards improving so that you can beat it. So if you're someone that's currently able to beat the Shaper, able to beat the Elder, and you feel like you're sort of getting close to the Uber Elder and Cirrus Awakening level 8 encounters, then whichever is the harder of the bosses would feel like, oh yeah, that's something that I may not be able to beat now, but I should probably be able to get there. And likewise, if you're someone that can beat Eternal Labyrinth, and they decide to put one of these encounters around the Shaper's difficulty, then that's something that might feel like, oh, I'm not going to beat it first try, but I think I can get there this league. That's what I'd like to see, but I got no real news on that. Significantly increase the likelihood of obtaining unique contracts from Smugglers caches. This is going to be very welcome. I've heard people say that the unique contracts are a lot of fun. I haven't seen one, so I don't know. Reduce the maximum level of heists in higher level areas. The number of reward rooms remains unchanged. So this is one that I spoke about previously. The lengths of the contracts, I feel they mask a bigger problem with current status of Heist, which is that the run-in is boring. The run-in is, if your character is capable of dealing with the escape from the Heist and dealing with the lockdown, then you will not find the run-in engaging in any way, shape, or form. Reducing the maximum length of a heist addresses this indirectly, but I don't think it really that it is the fundamental problem being solved here. Reduce the number of heist job doors along the path to the primary objectives in Heist. This is a positive. Reducing the number of doors on the way in will make that part quicker. That dull, uninteresting part will be quicker. Move some of the more valuable main chest rewards to reward room chests. That's sort of neither here nor there. I mean, at the moment you can get whichever of them you want, but so if you think that the reward rooms chests are disappointing, then you can go with the main path chests. If you think that the reward room chests are really good in a particular heist, then you can prioritize those. I don't think this is going to change all that much. Improve the rewards of generic, talisman, metamorph, and harbinger room reward chests, and in particular, drop talismans will now drop with higher tier mods on average and with a random anointed notable. I think this is going to be interesting. We're going to see talismans getting used. I do hope that talismans drop as 6 mods as well. That's something that has, like a talisman with 4 or 5 mods is miles worse than a talisman with 6 mods. Whereas if you have let's say that you identify an onyx amulet while you're running a map. You get this onyx amulet, you decide to identify it, and it's got 4 mods on it, and it's pretty good. You can use the benchcraft to add a 5th mod, and you can then use a Conqueror's Exalted Orb to apply a 6th mod. And that can make for a really good item. On the flip side, you can't do that with talismans, so I do think that talismans should almost always drop with 6 rare mods as well as the random anointed notable. But this is going to mean that more people will use them, and that's positive. Like, increasing the power of the very worst rewards is a positive. Many reward room chests can now drop their respective scarabs, so metamorph ones will drop metamorph scarabs instead of just dropping the various catalysts. That's going to be a positive. It's going to improve some of the very worst reward types. Updated the minimap icon used for generic rewards to more closely reflect the random assortment of possible rewards. Neither here nor there, in my opinion. I was just always under the assumption that a chest was a random reward, but we'll find out what that's going to look like. But this is a good one. Significantly increased the amount of experience that heist monsters grant when killed. So I'm of the opinion that heist should offer XP that is comparable to mapping and delves. I don't think they should be at the level of Chael Pure Breachstones or 5-way Legion encounters and the like. But I do think that having them be reasonably on par with what you get while running comparable maps that are of comparable difficulty would be a good thing. That is definitely not the case as of the current state of the game, so this will be an improvement. The rogue marker values of heist objectives is increasing. I don't think this is going to matter much as a Trade League player. I think that this is a good change for solo self-found because the rogue marker costs are ridiculous for unveiling blueprints there, and there's a challenge that requires spending a staggering amount of rogue markers. In a trade league, though, this is just going to further oversupply an already oversupplied currency. So essentially, instead of getting 1,000 coins, each coin being worth 1/600th of a chaos orb, you might instead get 2,000, but each one will be worth 1/2000th of a chaos orb. It may actually decrease the value of the markers, but I think this is one of those cases where this may actually paradoxically decrease the value of running the objectives in trade leagues, but will increase it in solo self-found, and the benefit to SSF people will be enough to outweigh the drawback to trade league players. Blueprints revealing all information is great. This is going to help you make better decisions when unveiling reward chests in blueprints. This is going to be really good. Rooms on blueprints that you must spend rogue markers to reveal will no longer be garbage. This is good, although I will note that the jewelry rewards are a lot better than people think. Jewelry reward chests have been something that people usually think, oh yeah, that's just dumpster tier, but actually they've got some interesting things in them. I've certainly had 2 implicit corrupted rare jewels drop there that have been quite good, and I've had there's a lot of potential for synthesized rings to be very valuable if they're high item level. So don't dismiss the jewelry chests. If you get an Arcane Surge on hit synthesized ring, if you get an Onslaught on hit synthesized ring, various charge on hit rings, all sorts of things like that, those rings can be a dozen exalts to 50 exalts just for the crafting base. And whilst you're not going to get them very often, the fact that you can get them pushes up the expected value of those jewelry rewards. So the TLDR on this section is that jewelry rewards are better than you think they are. Additional seconds on lockdown timer mods. So there's a number of things here that are aimed at nerfing a strategy where you stack all of the increased time to lockdown that you can, and then you open every chest in the dungeon after setting off the alert. These, I think, will not affect players that haven't been, like, people who are playing the game naturally will not notice these changes, but people who have been using one of these strategies will notice it. I think this is overall a very good package of changes because the overall impact will be that players, like, that rewards will no longer need to be balanced around this strategy existing. So the fact that this strategy is essentially being nerfed hard, it's one of the limiting factors as to how good the chest rewards can be. Improve the visibility of observer totems and their skill effects. This sounds good. Those things are really hard to see, and having them be more visible will make that better. Now, there's also some changes to how they work. Apparently, you will be able to actively dodge their alert pulse. So this is just going to make the run-in more interactive and more enjoyable because there's a more noticeable failure condition, but it will feel fair when you fail. So I think these are overall very good changes. Prophecies can't trigger when entering a heist area. Yeah, this is for the best. I've certainly wasted a couple of, not premium prophecies, but a couple of reasonably good ones, so that'll be good to see. Description of the marker value on a heist target will be seen on a contract. Neither here nor there, because at least for me as a Trade League player, because the other changes here will guarantee that rogue markers will be worthless. But again, this is something for SSF people. I'm not going to begrudge them that. Blueprints will now display the area level on the item tooltip. This is just a really simple quality of life change, but a good one. Corpses of heist monsters can be created with Desecrate. I hadn't known that they couldn't. That's a good change. Lockpicking doors will now open slightly faster. All of these changes to the actual use of the rogue skills is a positive. I hadn't noticed there wasn't a cooldown on rogues using rogues spamming voice lines. This didn't feel like, nothing has felt like the sort of really unusual voice interactions that you can get. Like if, for instance, Cassia is in a spot on a map that you can't quite reach to, you can't path to her, but she's close to you. She's on your screen or within a screen and a half radius. But there's a wall between you and her. Like, let's say she's at the top of the rampart and you're at the bottom of the rampart. Every time you walk in and out of her range, she will start the same voice lines again and again and again. If for some reason you're in a tense fight and you're moving in and out of her radius, that can get really annoying with Cassia. And I say that as one of the people who actually likes her voice lines a lot. I never really got sick of, and the unrighteous were turned to ash. Yes, they were! Like a lot of people did. So that is going, like, if that's been a problem for people, which I haven't been annoyed by it, that'll be a positive. Reinforcements spawn slightly quicker in a couple of the zones. Well, that's just going to make the escape more exciting and more difficult and more exciting. Fix a bug which could, and again, like a couple other things that cause monsters to spawn a bit faster during the escape phase. Again, that's going to make it more exciting and going to cause the failure condition to come up a little bit more. Fix a couple of bugs. This is always positive. Basically, any bug fix is a good thing. And so, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different bug chests down here that probably won't make a huge amount of difference. This one, like for instance, there's a hilarious bug. Fix a bug which allowed players to apply veiled mods and incubators to ally equipment, contracts, and blueprints. That's just silly, but you know, like there's all these sorts of things that players figure out you can do. The one that matters here though, fix a bug where trinket modifiers which caused heist chests to drop additional rewards weren't being applied if the chest was opened by a rogue. This is a major change. And something that seems to have really slipped under the radar. I didn't know that this was bugged, but basically, if you're opening one of the reward chests, sometimes you open it yourself. Sometimes instead you have to tell your rogue to do it for you. Like there'll be a chest that's got a trap on it, you'll then tell the rogue to undo the trap on the chest. So essentially, your heist trinkets were not applying to those, and I didn't know that. That's going to cause the various heist trinkets that significantly upgrade drops. These are going to be even more powerful and even more valuable at this point. Fixed a bug where some LA equipment could list Adia the Wayfinder and Kurai the Administrator as rogues they could be equipped by. I honestly did not think that was a bug. I thought that I just hadn't progressed far enough through the various quests associated with the rogues, because I keep failing some of the higher tier contracts because I haven't been, well, not the quest contracts. I've been picking them up in tier 15 and 16 maps mostly because I'm mostly running 15 and 16 maps, but they're miles harder than tier 15 and 16 content, and so I've failed a couple of them and just, yeah, haven't finished all those quests yet. So that's something that is going to be a big improvement, because, yeah, people won't think like I do that you're going to get those people as rogues when you finish all of the storyline quests. Yeah, then a couple of other changes there, but the other ways, there's the general improvements. Some minor changes to Hex Blast and Steel Shards that should be really positive. Tane Octavius is going to be changed to be able to be control-clicked to bring up the vendor window. This is going to make him the best vendor to have like as your primary, like if you're efficiency focused, Tane will now be the best choice of person to have near your map device. So you'll come out of a map and then immediately you will want to go to Tane, control-click him, dump all your 6 sockets, assuming that you're still looting those, which I think is still the right decision, isn't it? What are they currently selling for? Where are our fusing orbs? Jeweler's orbs. Yeah, Jeweler's orbs. So a 6 socket is currently half a Chaos orb, and Chaos orbs are more valuable than they usually are this league. So loading 6 sockets is still a good decision, and this means that you can do it just much faster. So all sorts of generally good stuff there. Then there's a few other things where like things are just being slightly improved, but the important ones, a bug has been fixed which caused cremation to sometimes deal no damage. This is really important because this was one of those bugs that were, you know, that it's the sort of thing that can be a real build killer, and it's being fixed. So yeah, that's going to be hugely positive. And additionally, there's a few other things that are just minor changes that are important. But a couple of fixes to the Cortex encounter, which is going to be positive, given that there's a replica Cortex as well in this league. And there's also the Val Temple issue is fixed as well. So there's been a whole lot of things there that are done that are looking like this is going to improve the game, I think. Overall, I'm looking forward to this patch going live. And in particular, I think more than anything else, I'm looking forward to seeing these new bosses and hoping that they're, that they're set at very different difficulties to each other. Anyways, if you've got any comments or questions, definitely fire away below. I'm going to leave it there though, and I hope you have a good one.